Us here on TVC Breakfast. Is that time that when we scan through the papers and bring you the stories shaping the national conversation. I'll be doing this through with, let's go through the papers first. The Nation newspaper, let's convert our diversity to prosperity, says President Tinubu, president at Pope's inauguration mass. Leo the 14th pledges peace in the world. Nigerian News Direct goes towards the same line. We must work tirelessly to preserve Nigeria's unity. That's according to President Tinubu. Blueprint talks about the 2027 politics. No candidate with capacity to match Tinubu in 2027. Yakasia says North has nothing against him. The Hope newspaper also toes the same line. Nobody can defeat Tinubu in 2027, says Yakasia. Insists North yet to endorse any aspirant. Kwakwanso sneers, boasts coalition will defeat president next election. Abuja inquiry talks about fraud. ICPC blocks 1.6 billion naira fraud in agency. And this Nigeria chimes in on the issues affecting Nigerians, not just in Lagos, but across the nation, which is tenants grown as rents in cities continue to soar. Increased by 60% in 2025. Agents, agreement, fees add to costs. Platform Times. Over 34,000 Nigerians granted U.S. citizenship in 3 years. And the last we'll be talking about on the paper review this morning is Taiwan Awoniyi, who is back to life. I'm grateful to be alive after emergency surgery. Coma describes it as an experience that he would never forget. Now let's, Veronica, let's quickly dissect some of these headlines as much as we can. The president is in Vatican. He's been in Vatican, met with the Pope, met with some other people, officials and all of that. And he said that, yes, we know that we are a country of diverse nation, but we have to use our diversity to our own advantage. So what do you think about that?
It's a great statement for Mr. President to have said that, yes, it is obvious we are very diverse in Nigeria, linguistical diversity, cultural diversity, religious diversity and all that. But when you look at it, if each sector of Nigeria says or decides that we're going to contribute our best to the pot, I think Nigeria will be a much, much better place. And that's the picture he's trying to paint.
That's right. So, Veronica, when you look at some of the things that if you check the online media, you see some of the vile comments, some of the invectives and all of that. This is a president meeting the new Pope. And, some of the things that some people even said he never met the Pope. It was AI generated. When he now met Obi, Obi had the chance to meet him, had the chance to meet the president. They're not like, is that a what do we call it? is that something to be happy about? Something like that. Is that an achievement, to use their word? So what do you think about us as Nigerians, when it comes to us looking at things, appreciating them, and think of our unity rather than, whatever it is that, is going to disunite us?
Well, Nigerians will always be Nigerians, and this matter of our diversity has been an issue even right from the very beginning. And a lot of persons at the time had often talked about the fact that because of the divergent ethnicities, it was going to be difficult for us to come together, and that we were forced to come together. And so obviously, our differences keep rubbing off on us, and there are those who will tell you that, okay, perhaps the civil war that happened and also, divided that line, the gap became wider, and so there are those who still haven't healed from that incident. So you keep getting these kinds of statements coming from different sections of the society. What effort has government made to be able to ensure that this thread that has held us together is still very strong? Various successive governments before this current administration, what effort have they done? Yes, we put in place the NYSC to ensure that, okay, students can go to different parts of the country so they can work and integrate and foster unity. But how far has that taken us? at the very least is the family unit. How have we had these kinds of conversation? You hear some parents say, I don't want my daughter to marry from this tribe. Right. I do not want my son to marry from this tribe. So it begins even from the home front.
Even some families are disunited. So how do you expect that to replicate on a national scale?
If we want to harness our diversity, it begins with us as individuals. How do I see myself? How do I see the other person?
That's right.
And ensure that we work together to ensure unity. It begins from that very little corner. And then we can talk about the generality of Nigeria. Until that happens, then we are still joking.
Yeah, and I think that main problem is something I can borrow from the Ethiopian proverb that says, if the threads unite, they can tie the lion. So whatever is a national problem, we should always unite so that we defeat whatever it is that we consider as
I know you want to jump into the next paper, but let me say this. If we work to build national pride, I think it will help us in this unity in diversity. But when I was in primary school, we had big government officials coming to our classrooms to stay with us, to spend some time with us. It made us proud. Maybe we should revisit all those little things that makes the child say, yes, I am from Nigeria, build that patriotism. And this unity in diversity will be
something that will be used to our own advantage,
yes,
rather than a source of differences. Right. Moving on to blueprints, as well as the Hope newspaper, they're actually saying practically the same thing, saying that no candidates with capacity to match Tinubu in 2027, as according to Tanko Yakasia, saying that North has nothing against him. It's going to be landslide victory for Ashiwaju, that's according to APC, and then Northwest faring better under Mr. President. So this is coming against the backdrop of seeing a subtle or some form of coalition coming together to meet the former president Muhammad Buhari in his hometown in Daura, and then later on you saw the APC party members moving there like, he's our man, you can't come and claim him. It's just the fourth and back, and others are saying that the North will not support the president, but we are having louder voices from people that matter, from the northern region, saying that no, we are for Bola Tinubu. 2027 is already here. Yeah,
when it comes to the second term of any president, towards the campaigns, we have things like that, where this group will say, no, you have not done well, so we are not going to support you. And then another group will come and say, there is no alternative, it has to be him, and so on. It's the same dance playing all over again. But for me, we'll have to wait until the elections. But from all indications right now as it stands, yes, Mr. President has a very good chance. But you see these things about politics, it has to do with what is prevalent as at that time. Things might change, things might get better, things might get worse. We'll just have to wait and see.
We actually want to look at the one that gets better because, is it too early for us to talk about 2027? There is governance, there are challenges that we're facing. Should we not focus more on this, especially when we have credible opposition, even though they are saying that Nigeria is now moving to one-party state. But credible opposition should also provide alternative solutions to issues that we have, at least suggesting to the incumbent.
Even you that is saying this thing that you mentioned credible opposition, the way you said it,
I opened my hand. The gesture does not corroborate my words.
Not at all. Because as well as all of us do on this table, that the opposition have not been acting credibly as they should in our democracy. And that is why you keep hearing these kinds of conversations. Yes, we have critical issues to discuss. We have so many challenges that we need to address. But one major business in this country is politics, and we often speak about it. It's just that, unfortunately, a majority of Nigerians, especially the young persons, are not part of the conversation or have refused to be a part of the conversation. That's right. Because they have refused to join political parties, to know and be part of the decision making. So looking at Tanko Yakasia as a person, he is 99 years old. He's been in politics for a long time, since the 1950s. Right. And so his experience would have shown him a lot of things for him to make these kinds of statements to say that, he's not seeing any credible opposition against the current president as it is. Yes, you might say the power of incumbency could be working for him and all of it. But for someone who is from that extraction, who is a major player in politics in the North. He's part of the founding members of the Arewa Consultative Forum, speaking and saying, if you're hearing anything from anybody, it is not a holistic statement in terms of that is not the position of the elders of the North.
That's right.
It is their own personal interest, or they're speaking their own ideas and all of it. So speaking from that, based on his track record and his experience, he must have seen something that perhaps we all know about. All
right, so we still have more papers to go, but let's see how fast we can move, with some of these papers. If you see Abuja Inquirer talks about fraud. ICPC blocks 1.6 billion naira fraud in agency. They're talking about, introducing new technology, adopting AI models so as to, fight grafts within different agencies of government. So 1.6 billion naira, imagine if that has gone down the drain or right into some people's stomachs.
I want to commend ICPC for discovering this even before it happened and bringing out the 4 people involved. And proving to them that, look, una want thief, make una stop them, that kind of stuff. It is good. So whatever they are using, AI, new technology, you just stopped 1.6 billion to be stolen from Rural Electrification Agency. You just stopped it, and that is commendable. That's where I want to give them.
Should we stop at that? Or should we get these people and then, try them for corruption?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yes.
Absolutely. The full wrath of the law, they should face it. For me, the question is, perhaps a lot has been going on even before now. That was why they decided to put the searchlight on these people. My question is to those who are stealing us blind. Where is your conscience? This money is not meant for you and your generation to come, yet to be born. That's whatever is for the generality of Nigerians. So why are you pocketing it for yourself and for persons you haven't even met? It's sad that we do this to ourselves.
That's right. Great. Right, this Nigeria is next, and this matter concerns every one of us, everyone in this room, everyone across the nation, except for even the landlords too, whether they are the doer. But not all. There are so many beautiful landlords out there, including my mom. Now, this Nigeria says tenants grown as rents in cities continue to soar. Increased by 60% in 2025. Agents' agreement fees add to cost. State tenancy laws gather dust. Landlords cashing on high cost of building materials, and so on and so forth. Where do we go from here? People are having difficulties in getting a rent. You get a rent, they fleece you. You are occupying that rent. They are still looking for ways, innovative ways, corrupt innovative ways to steal from you.
My question has always been, how do we get the agents out of the equation when it comes to trying to rent a house or rent a property anywhere? It is not structured. Anybody that doesn't have a job and has the energy to move around and talk to 1 or 2 landlords becomes an agent. And I don't see why somebody has to pay his house rent, 1 year house rent, and then the agents are asking for their commission to be for 2 years. It begins there. If we can control the excesses of the agents, it will it will bring down the price of rents a little. But you see, landlords are also cashing in on the fact that building materials are super expensive. So they are saying, I can't build this house for 70 million naira and then rent it out to you for 400,000. The whole building sector needs to be revisited and prices brought down. But first things first, get those agents out of the way, or at least get them structured.
Some landlords use them as arrowheads because they themselves are thieves. I remember having a conversation with one of the agents saying that, okay, I want to be taking 10,000 naira for what? Okay, for maintenance. Maintenance for what? Are you going to repair the pumping machine? He says, no. Are you going to do this and that? He says, no, it's just for me. Come on.
It's for his maintenance.
No transparency, no breakdown of it. And then you said it has to be paid, otherwise you get out of the premises.
I think we need to have a national conversation on how we need to move forward on this matter of rent and all of it. We saw the US do something where people began to protest that they cannot afford, to pay their rent. Perhaps we need to borrow a leaf from some countries on how they addressed this issue. Because at some point, we might have a situation where gentrification will just happen.
That's right.
And we are already seeing that happen. And a lot of poor people may not have places to stay anymore. And then we still have problems with regards to for the housing and all of it. I think the government needs to take a stance on it and ensure, yes, Lagos State decided that, you know what, any landlord that comes out to say more than 10% or for whatever it is, you shouldn't pay, you should raise the alarm. But
how much
how
are
far are you going with that one? As a country, we need to arise and address this. If it is building materials that's our problem, what can the government do? I know the government at some point took a step of saying, okay, certain persons should reduce the price of what's it called now, building materials to about 3,500 per bag. That's for cement. For cement, And then some persons who were now buying from them, we are selling it at 7,000 naira.
It's 7,000,
so
8,000.
We are still stealing from ourselves. Corruption.
Veronica and Etoma, Platform Time says over 34,000 Nigerians granted U.S. citizenship in 3 years. I think we can quickly, touch on this. You have people getting citizenship by naturalization, ability to speak the language for certain years, the number of years you spend in the U.S. So we have some Nigerians who are legitimately becoming U.S. citizens, but there are some who are forcing themselves on the U.S. government, and Trump is wanting them out.
Yes, if you see, to me, I'll say Nigerians are intimidating them, so to speak, especially when it comes to the academic side. Nigerians are getting that citizenship mostly because they qualify. They qualify for the citizenship. The number is what is making everybody say, what's going on, 34,000 in 3 years? Why are we running away from being Nigerians? I mean, the reasons are obvious, So, but we are doing a lot of inroads there. Educationally, we have Nigerians having high positions in offices there and so on. So they are giving it to us, let's take it.
That's right.
I like that.
But this actually backlog from those who are supposed to have been to have gained citizenship during the pandemic. So I guess that's why the numbers are quite high, because we're still behind Mexico, who are more than 300,000.
Of course, there are a huge number of other countries that are making inroad into the U.S. This is bound to happen because a lot of persons who have the money, you see that they have more than one citizenship because of, I need to be able to move around and also invest in certain places, because people now see beyond their local community. They are looking at diversifying their businesses across the world, so as to create opportunities not just for themselves but also for their generation. So you see these numbers keep rising. The world is a global space, so as much as possible, a lot of persons want to have inroad in any area because of opportunities. People no longer want to stay in one place in search of opportunities. They want to go across the world, especially if you have the skill, if you have the qualification, if you have the business, if you have whatever it takes to get this this citizenship. So you would see this happening, and the number will keep increasing, because recently I saw some couple say that they got their citizenship and it didn't take long. So we'll keep seeing these numbers increase. All
right, so we're happy that Taiwo Awoni is back to life, after emergency surgery, coma, and then describes this season as the most difficult of his career. Forest paid tribute to Nigerians. We're happy that our man is back, but I hope you have time to talk about it. But one thing is that the bottom line is that he's back to life, and we hope to see him, on the pitch.
Especially for those who, you recall we had this conversation, I think on Friday or Thursday, where a lot of persons were raising concerns about why was he induced into coma medically and all of that that could affect him. But here he is, and we said that, I recall saying that the people in charge know what they are doing, and that was why they took that step. And here he is speaking, he's talking about recovery. So we are hoping that 2025-2026 season he'll be back.
He'll be back fully to his feet. Right. Well, that's about it for the newspapers we've reviewed this morning. Do so well to get more from your own convenience. After the break, we'll discuss President Tinubu's fresh push on initiatives devised to address insecurity in Nigeria. Do stay with us.